What are you pointing at? There's nothing there.
Look again, it's right there, right under the bed.
Honey, I'm looking. There is nothing under that bed.
I'm looking. There is nothing under that bed.
Then why is he staring at me?
My name is Daniel. And every night for the past 3 days, there has been something under my bed. A white cat. It doesn't make a sound. It doesn't move like a normal animal. It just stays there, watching me, and licking my wife's red pants. I know how that sounds. If someone told me this story a month ago, I would have laughed. I would have explained it away with stress, lack of sleep, or an overactive imagination. Because I am not a superstitious man. I am a married man. A happy man. Or at least, I used to think I was. My wife's name is Sarah. We have been together for 6 years, 4 years of dating, 2 years of marriage. She is the kind of woman who hums while she cooks, who laughs a little too loud at her own jokes, and who steals the blanket in the middle of the night without even knowing it. She is warm. She is familiar. She is mine. At least. That is what I thought. Until the cat showed up. Let me take you back to where it all began. Because nothing about this story makes sense unless you understand what kind of man I am first. I am not a superstitious man. I did not grow up fearing the dark or believing that black cats brought bad luck or that broken mirrors invited 7 years of suffering. I grew up in Lagos, raised by a father who was an engineer and a mother who was a teacher. Logic. Reason. Evidence. That was the language of my household. So when I tell you what I saw that night, understand that it is not coming from a man with an overactive imagination. It is not coming from a man who reads too many horror stories or watches too many late-night thrillers. It is coming from a man who simply cannot explain what he has seen. It started about 3 weeks ago. Sarah had been out for most of the day. She told me she was going to see her friend Temi, something about helping her pick out fabric for her sister's wedding Osoebi. I didn't think much of it. Sarah and Temi had been friends since secondary school. Those two women could spend an entire afternoon in a market and come back looking like they had just returned from a spa. She came back around 5 in the evening, her handbag slung over one shoulder and a small nylon bag dangling from her wrist. She was smiling, that wide, easy smile she gives when she has had a good day. "Babe, I'm back," she called out as she pushed the door open with her elbow. "I see you," I replied from the couch, not looking up from the football match I was watching. Enyimba were playing, and they were losing, which meant I was suffering. She disappeared into the bedroom. I heard the wardrobe door open, heard the rustle of something being unwrapped. Normal sounds. House sounds. It was a few minutes later that she walked back into the living room, and that was when I noticed it, a flash of red at her waist. She had changed into a pair of red pants. Not a dress. Not a skirt. Just a pair of shorts, cotton and casual, bright red, the color of fresh Exora flowers. "Where did you get those?" I asked, my eyes flickering from the television screen to her and back again. "I bought them," she said simply, like it was the most ordinary thing in the world. She opened the fridge, pulled out a bottle of cold water, and took a long sip. And that was it. That was all. Nothing more was said about it. But something about those red pants sat at the back of my mind all evening. Not because they were ugly, they weren't. Not because there was anything wrong with buying something new. Sarah bought things all the time. It was something else. Something I couldn't name. Like a sound you think you heard in the middle of the night but can't quite be sure of. Like a shadow in the corner of your eye that disappears the moment you turn to look. I told myself to forget it. I told myself I was being foolish. That night, I wished I had listened to myself. We went to bed around 11. Sarah had already fallen asleep by the time I finished brushing my teeth and scrolling through my phone. I climbed in beside her, pulled the duvet over both of us, and closed my eyes. I don't know how long I slept. Maybe 2 hours. Maybe 3. But somewhere in the deep quiet of the night, my body woke me up with an urgent message. I needed to use the bathroom. I lay there for a moment, trying to negotiate with my own bladder, the way you do when you're too warm and too comfortable to move. But there was no negotiating that night. The pressure was immediate and insistent. I sighed, pushed the duvet aside, and swung my legs over the edge of the bed. The room was dark. Not completely, a thin bar of orange light crept in under the bedroom door from the security light outside, but dark enough that I had to feel my way slowly. I placed my feet on the cool floor and stood up. And that was when I saw it. A white cat. It was under our bed. Right there, between the floor and the bed frame, tucked into that low, shadowy space where old slippers go to die and forgotten books gather dust. A white cat, small and still, with fur so pale it seemed to glow faintly in the dark. I froze. My first thought was, how did a cat get into this room? The windows were shut. The bedroom door had been closed all evening. We had no cat. We had never had a cat. We had never even discussed getting a cat. My second thought came a moment later, and it hit me like cold water. The cat was licking Sarah's red pants. The ones she had worn earlier that evening. The bright red pair she had folded and left on top of the small pile of clothes near the wardrobe. They must have fallen. They were lying on the floor, partially under the bed, and that cat, that impossible, inexplicable cat, had its pink tongue moving slowly, deliberately, across the fabric. I stood there. I could not move. I could not breathe properly. My mouth had gone completely dry. Then the cat looked up. Its eyes found mine in the dark. Black eyes. Perfectly round. Perfectly still. It did not blink. It did not flinch. It simply stared at me with the kind of calm that belongs to something that does not fear humans, something that has never had a reason to. Jesus Christ. The scream came out of me before I could stop it. My whole body jerked backward and I nearly slipped on the bare floor. My heart was slamming against my chest like a fist against a locked door. Honey. Honey, what is it? Sarah shot up from the bed, her voice thick with sleep but already sharp with alarm. She reached for the small lamp on her bedside table and clicked it on. Warm yellow light flooded the room. You need to come and see this. I managed, my voice coming out smaller than I intended. I hadn't moved. My eyes were still fixed on that space under the bed. Sarah climbed out of the duvet, her feet finding the floor with the automatic ease of someone who had woken up in this room 1,000 times. She came around to my side, rubbing one eye, her brow furrowed. See what? What happened? There. I said, pointing directly under the bed. She bent her head and looked. She straightened up almost immediately, looking at me with an expression I did not yet know how to read. Babe, there's nothing there. What do you mean there's nothing there? I crouched down, fully. I pressed my cheek almost to the floor to look. And there it was, still there, still watching, still completely motionless. It's right there, Sarah. Look again. The white cat. It's been licking your red pants. She crouched down beside me, her shoulder touching mine, her face at the same level as mine. There was a long pause. Daniel. She said quietly. There is nothing under this bed. Not a cat. Not anything. I turned my head to look at her. She was not squinting. She was not pretending. Her face was open, genuinely puzzled, looking at me the way you look at someone who has said something that doesn't quite add up. My mouth opened. Then closed. I looked back under the bed. The cat stared at me. Unblinking. Calm. Real. But my wife could not see it. I told myself it was stress. Or maybe it was the late hour and the grogginess of deep sleep interrupted too abruptly. And I also remember what I once read in a book that the human brain, when pulled from certain stages of sleep, can produce images that feel completely real, hypnopompic hallucinations, the sleep books call them. I had read about it once, years ago. A person sees something. A figure at the door. An animal in the corner. It feels solid. It feels present. And then it is gone. I told myself that was what had happened. I went to the bathroom. I came back. I climbed back into bed. I lay there for a long time, listening to the sound of Sarah's breathing settle back into sleep, staring at the ceiling, not quite sure I believed my own explanation. And before I finally drifted off, I made myself look one more time. Under the bed. Empty. Nothing there. I closed my eyes. I slept. And I told no one. 2 days passed. Life continued the way life does: work, traffic, evening meals, small arguments about small things, nights in front of the television. Sarah and I moved through our routines the way two people who know each other's rhythms always do, comfortable and unhurried. I did not think about the cat again. Or rather, I thought about it only briefly, the way you think about a strange dream, with mild curiosity and a willingness to let it go. Until 2 evenings ago. It was 7 o'clock in the evening. The light outside had turned that particular shade of bruised orange that Lagos evenings specialize in, that moment between day and night when everything looks slightly too vivid to be real. I was lying on the bed, my back against the headboard, scrolling aimlessly through my phone. My manager had sent a message earlier in the day, something about my late arrival the previous week, and I had been putting off replying because I didn't yet know what tone to take. The bathroom door opened. Sarah stepped out wrapped in her white towel, her skin still gleaming from her bath, leaving small wet footprints on the floor tiles. Her hair was wrapped up and she smelled of the coconut soap she liked. Our eyes met. She smiled, easy, familiar, warm. "So babe," she said, walking toward the wardrobe. "You still haven't told me how your day went. Did your manager actually query you for that late arrival?" "Well," I said, setting my phone down on the mattress beside me and sitting up slightly. "It was." And then I stopped. She had opened the wardrobe. She was reaching in, moving things around the way she always did, unhurried, automatic, casual. And what she pulled out made my blood run cold. The red pants. That same bright red, cotton pair. She shook them out once, the way you do before you put something on, and she was about to step into them, one leg lifted. And I saw it. The cat. The same white cat. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it had been in the room the whole time, or if it had appeared from somewhere I hadn't been watching. One moment there was nothing. The next, there it was, standing at the foot of the wardrobe, between Sarah's feet and mine, its white fur impossibly bright against the dark wood of the floor. It was watching the red pants. Something about the way it looked at that fabric, fixed, focused, hungry, made the air in the room feel different. Heavier. Like before rain comes. Then, slowly, it began to walk toward her. It was moving toward my wife. Goosebumps broke out across my arms. My hands gripped the mattress on either side of me without my even realizing it. Every hair on the back of my neck stood at attention. Sarah was still talking. She hadn't noticed anything. She was still speaking about my manager, still shaking out the red pants, still entirely comfortable and completely unaware. And the cat was getting closer. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. I tried again. My throat had closed. My tongue felt thick. The cat was almost at her feet now, moving so quietly, so deliberately, as though it had done this before. As though it had walked this exact path 100 times and knew every inch of it. It stopped. Right at her feet. And it looked up. But it didn't look at Sarah. It looked at me. Those same black eyes. That same absolute stillness. That same refusal to blink. And in that moment, looking into those eyes, I felt something I had not felt since I was a child lying in a dark room imagining something standing just behind the door. Pure, absolute fear. Sarah pulled on the red pants and tied her towel tighter and turned to me with a small frown. "Babe, you've gone quiet. Are you okay?" I did not know how to answer her. I did not know how to say, "There is a cat in this room. It has been watching you. It appeared from nowhere. You cannot see it. It looked at me just now in a way that made me feel like it knows things I don't." Like it has been here longer than I have. Like it belongs here and I am the one who is the stranger. I did not know how to say any of that. So instead, I looked at the space where the cat had been standing. It was gone. Again. Vanished without a sound, without a movement I had caught, without any trace at all. I lay awake for a very long time that night. Sarah fell asleep beside me the way she always does, quickly, peacefully, her breathing evening out within minutes. She always sleeps well. She always has. Even as a child, she once told me she could fall asleep anywhere, on water, on long journeys, in waiting rooms, in the back of her father's car on the way home from church. I have always envied her. The ease of her sleep. Tonight, I lay in the dark and thought. Two separate occasions. The same cat. The same impossible appearance. The same silence. And both times, it had appeared in connection with those red pants. Not just near them. Not just coincidentally in the same room. But watching them. Moving toward them. As though drawn to them by something I could not see or understand. And my wife could not see the cat at all. I thought about this for a long time. I thought about the day she brought the pants home. The nylon bag in her hand. The easy smile on her face. The way she had said, I bought them without a flicker of anything, no guilt, no weight, no pause. I thought about Temi, her friend, and whether Temi's name had come up more often than usual lately. I thought about the fabric market. I thought about small things, a phone call she had taken in the bathroom, a message she had angled her screen away from me to read, a morning she had woken up earlier than usual and said she needed to clear her head before work. I thought about all of these small, separate things and I tried not to connect them. I tried not to build them into something. Because I know myself. I know that I am capable of creating a story out of nothing when fear gets hold of me. I know that a suspicious mind is its own kind of prison. But the cat was not nothing. The cat was real. I had seen it. Twice. Clearly. Without any grogginess, without any half-sleep to blame. The second time, I had been fully awake, sitting up in a lit room, completely conscious. And it had looked at me. Like it wanted me to know something. Like it had been sent to make sure I was paying attention. I got up just before 2 a.m. in the morning. Because I could not sleep, a lot is playing in my head. I didn't turn the bedroom light on. I didn't want to wake Sarah. I moved carefully, the way you move in a room where someone is sleeping, and I went to the wardrobe. I stood in front of it for a moment. Then I opened it. The red pants were folded on the middle shelf, exactly where she had placed them after taking them off that evening. Just a pair of shorts. Soft cotton. Bright red. Ordinary. I reached out and picked them up. I turned them over in my hands in the dark, running my fingers along the seams, checking the pockets, small, shallow, both empty. There was nothing hidden inside them. No note. No object. Nothing unusual about the fabric itself. Just pants. I stood there for a long moment. Then I heard it. Not a sound exactly. More like a change in the air. The way a room changes when something has entered it, a subtle shift in temperature, a slight thickening of the atmosphere. I turned around slowly. The cat was sitting in the middle of the room. It hadn't been there a second ago. I would have seen it. I would have heard it. But there it was, white as bone, bright as a light, sitting perfectly still in the center of the bedroom floor, its eyes fixed on the red pants in my hands. We stared at each other. Me and the cat. The man and whatever this thing was. I want to tell you I was brave. I want to tell you I did something decisive, that I spoke to it, or moved toward it, or at the very least kept my composure. But the honest truth is that my legs had stopped working. My hand holding the red pants had begun to tremble faintly. And the room felt very cold. The cat opened its mouth. No sound came out. Just the mouth, opening wide, showing small white teeth and a pink tongue, and then it closed again. And it kept staring. and it kept not blinking. I don't know how long we held each other's gaze. It could have been 10 seconds. It could have been a full minute. Time had stopped working the way time usually does. And then, from behind me, I heard the bedsheets move. Daniel. Sarah's voice. Soft with sleep, just barely awake. Daniel, come back to bed. What are you doing? I turned toward her voice. Just for a moment. Just a second. And when I turned back, gone. The cat was gone. The room was empty. I stood there in the dark, holding my wife's red pants in one hand, my heart beating in my throat, the cold still sitting against my skin. Nothing. I said. I'm coming. I folded the red pants carefully. I placed them back on the shelf. I closed the wardrobe door. I climbed back into bed. Sarah pulled the duvet tighter and settled back into sleep without another word. And I lay beside her in the dark, staring at the ceiling, with one thought running through my mind over and over like a stock record. What does that cat know about my wife that I don't? I have decided to do something about this. I don't know what yet. I don't know who to tell, or whether telling anyone is even the right move. I have thought about calling my older brother Emeka, who is the kind of man who handles things, but Emeka will laugh at me, or worse, he will take it too seriously and start sending me to places I'm not ready to go. I have thought about going to our pastor. Brother Emmanuel is a good man, and he has seen things I haven't. But to go to him, I would need to tell Sarah, and I don't know how to tell Sarah without the conversation turning into something else entirely. Without her starting to ask questions I haven't worked out how to answer. Without us arriving somewhere I don't want to arrive. Not yet. Not until I know more. Because here is what I keep coming back to, the thing I cannot shake no matter how many times I try. That cat does not appear randomly. It appears when Sarah puts on those red pants. It appeared the first night, the very night she brought them home, and it was under the bed, licking the fabric like it was drawing something out of them. It appeared the second time as she was about to put them on, walking toward her with that terrible, purposeful calm. And it appeared to me again in the dark, while I held them in my hands, as if to confirm that yes, these are what you should be asking about. So tomorrow, I am going to have a real conversation with my wife about those red pants. Where exactly she got them. Who gave them to her, because buying them is not a full answer, and I realize now that I should have pressed harder the first time. I am going to ask her calmly. I am going to watch her face. I am going to listen not just to what she says but to what she doesn't say, to the things that live in the spaces between words. And I am going to pray that the answer is simple. I am going to pray that my wife looks at me with those clear brown eyes and gives me an explanation that makes every piece of this fall into place, the cat, the pants, the way it stares, the way it moves, the way it looks at me like it is trying to deliver a message I am almost too afraid to receive. I am going to pray that she says something that makes me laugh at myself. That makes me lie back in bed and say, you know what, I have been working too hard, I need to rest. I am going to pray for that. But deep in the part of me that does not pray, the part that simply knows, I am already afraid of what she is going to say. I don't know what to do anymore. Do I confront my wife about those red pants, or do I pretend I never saw anything? Because whatever that cat is, it's not just watching her. It's watching me too. If you were in my position, what would you do? Tell me in the comments, because I might take your advice. And if you want to find out what happens next, make sure you subscribe. Episode 2 is where things get worse.